Nogales Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meeting, 3 p.m. Wednesday, January the 12th, 2022, City Hall Complex. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call to the public. Betty, do we have anybody? No? Okay. Number 4, Director's Report. Number 1, update on emergency housing vouchers. Director?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, good afternoon. Robert Thompson from the Housing Authority. Happy New Year, in case I haven't seen anybody recently. We have 3 items up for a report. The first one is an update on the emergency housing voucher. As we all know, the pandemic did a number on a lot of families out there. We were lucky enough to receive 15 vouchers with different time frames, stipulations, guidelines, and direction from HUD. These 15 vouchers are made to address people who are fleeing a domestic violence type of situation, are homeless or near being homeless. I believe I gave a small snippet about this a couple months ago, but in retrospect, I'll just bring it back. Currently, our partners working with us have been able to refer a total of 12 vouchers or 12 individuals to us. 3 of those have been housed. What that means is 3 recipients got a voucher and they were able to find a place to live and we were able to house them. The time frame on these vouchers is only scheduled for 2 years, but we're anticipating that perhaps HUD, in its infinite wisdom, will either fund this or allow us to absorb those in the current housing choice vouchers, bringing that number from 192 to 200 and my math is bad, 192 plus 15, 107. So we'll bring those up to that. Hopefully, we're hoping that's the case. Out of the 15 vouchers, like I said, 3 have been housed. There's a total of 8 vouchers out there where we have an individual or a family looking for a place to live. We have 2 out of those 8 who are pending the paperwork to finalize a place to stay, bringing the number from 3 to 5, leaving a total of 4 that were pending referrals. And our partnering agencies is Mariposa Community Health Center, the clinic, and the other partners, Pinal Hispanic. And everything is overseen by Siegel in the Cochise County area under the Continuum of Care platform that we've adopted. Any questions or anything else I can offer on the HV?
Are you having trouble finding apartment units to rent for Section 8?
We are on all spectrums, Commissioner Vouchers. The housing market is sparse, scary at this point. We're seeing, there really is nothing out there. We've been talking to a couple of developers, at least I have to 2 developers. It's just an issue of seeing how and when we can figure out something. The biggest challenge I always get is how many vouchers can I apply to under a public, a PBV, help me out, sir. The permanent ones.
The voucher?
Like Bowman, it always escapes my mind. And typically these developers want me to commit 100%. I cannot commit 100%. The most I can do is 20%. And that's a number of 36 vouchers, and 20 of those are already locked into Bowman. And it's so it's difficult to come
out of the 193, you have 181 being used?
We are 6 shy right now. So that we have 6 vouchers out there where we have that are not allocated to a family. There's 174, I believe, that are in use, and the rest are individuals or families looking for a place to live.
Have you had any problems on the waiting list, people not wanting to come in and apply or just rejecting the voucher?
No, nothing. In fact, this morning I entertained a call. Somebody was very much enthused to know what their status was, and they were really happy when I gave that person the number. So we do have a long list. We just sent out the the annual, hey, are you still interested in the program letters? And we're getting a lot of good feedback on that. People are still very much interested in the program. It's just that when we get them through the door, per se, and issue a voucher, phase 2 of that, finding a place to live, that's what's complicated right now.
So does the rule still stand with HUD? If you send somebody on the waiting list, you send them a notice that they're up for a voucher, and they don't respond within 5 days, you drop them from the list, and then you go to the next applicant?
I've taken it an extra step there, Commissioner Bojorquez, for a couple of reasons. I've asked staff to not only send out the letter, but to reach out and talk to them. I think our goal is to house as many people as we possibly can, and if it requires a 30-second phone call to Mr. or Mrs. whomever, saying, hey, guys, we sent the letter, what's happening? I believe it's probably in all of our best interests, especially the community, to be able to afford them that second shot.
Mhm.
After that, if we don't have anything receptive from the individuals, then yes, they're off the list.
Yes, because some of them might have moved to a different location, a different
Right.
address, and they get sent that letter to the old address. Of course, they have to come in and make any change before they move.
Exactly, and we had to deal with that, very similar case like that. Commissioner Bojorquez, the family failed to inform us of the change of address. We reached out, no answer, we had to move on. And we waited a good 3 weeks to get an answer. So we were very persistent on reaching out to them. And unfortunately, nobody answered. So we could not contact them if we had no place to contact them at, either phone or email or in person.
So what happened? They go back to the end of the list?
They have to reapply, and unfortunately, as you know, probably better than any of us here, the list closes and opens throughout the year, depending on the need. In this case, as you know, our one-bedroom is probably the highest one. We have 30, close to 40 families or individuals waiting, and they've been waiting for a good 6-7 years. So yeah, they have to reapply when that list opens.
And one question on the one bedrooms, do we still have those 8 units? Are they in the Section 8 program still, or have you put
We're
them
still
into the inventory?
Right, so they're probably going to remain in the Section 8 side of it all, because that's what's helping me with the emergency housing vouchers. Department of Housing has not liquidated that letter to us saying, hey, it's all yours now. However, in anticipation to what the future has, I'm working with NCD, Nogales Community Development, to be our managing partner. So we'll take care of the landlord portion, but however, I would still need somebody to enter into the HAP contracts with on our behalf. So we don't manage our own. And NCD is very much receptive of this. In fact, I should be having a call sometime tomorrow with Patricia at NCD to see where we stand on that. We were using the county for a while, and the county right now is just bombarded with just about anything you can think of. So I think it's probably best to move over with a different partner who understands vouchers.
On those 8 units, I think the contract expired
Last year.
October 2020, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So and that's through the Arizona Housing Department, right?
Yes, Department of Housing.
And you're waiting on them?
We're waiting on them. Last year, we entertained another inspection. Everything went well. A couple of documents that we needed to just be uploaded and corrected. We managed all that. However, the standing order was COVID hit. Things are on pause. In fact, just about everybody at Department of Housing is on a remote status still. Kind of shocking, but nonetheless, conversations with or dialogue with DOH is ongoing. Next week, they're on the to-do list for see where we stand. I mean, we really got to get those released.
And how about public housing? Are you having the same problem with the one-bedroom units, that you don't have enough?
I don't have enough. I really don't have enough. The list on that one is, I think it's in the 80s. I'm not too sure. I know our staff is watching. Frida, if you can text me that number, I'd very much appreciate it. But it is up there. One bedrooms is a high demand.
Yeah, because I got a call from one of the residents, elderly couple, and I told him, that I wasn't the director anymore. They needed to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they were complaining that they were being moved
Yes, sir.
from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom.
Absolutely.
And this couple, one of them is handicapped, and his 1-bedroom is used by the gentleman, And he's got all his equipment there, the wheelchair, the walker, and the...
Absolutely. I know exactly who you're talking about, and forgive me for interjecting there before we get into too specifics about the actual tenant. But yes, I entertain that concern from the individuals. According to our regulations, they qualify for a one-bedroom because we've historically have adapted to a verbal accommodation, nothing written. And I think our policies say, hey, we need something in black and white to be able to give you those accommodations. So when we audited that file, we was still determined that we should downgrade them from a two-bedroom to a single-bedroom. When asked specifically what the issue was I just can't sleep next to this person because of this, that, or the other thing. The reasonable accommodation was not entered into our process, into our system. Therefore, we have to move forward. And this is standard and across the board with many other people who will probably be reaching out to the commission because I need to play chess, as you all know, where I need to house families correctly and not keep them overhoused. And here's an example. I have a single near elderly person living in a three-bedroom apartment. Not anymore. That just can't happen when I have a huge list for three-bedroom units. So I, along with Frida and in talks with Marta, have figured out, not figured out, but are working on a way to play chess with all these families. It's disconcerting to them. However, the needs of the program outweigh the needs of the one. And I hate to quote Star Trek there, but I'm just a geek at heart. But yeah, we are looking at this, and we are, as we bring in new people, new tenants in, we tend to downsize the unit size from people who do no longer qualify in that. So, it's a little bit perhaps stern on my end, but it's in the best interest of the whole program.
Yeah, 'cause some of these people have been living in those units for over 20 years. So.
And it's scary as I visit those units and realize that I'm going to have to put $10,000, $15,000 in repairs because they were not adapted to them as they became older, and they had to use things like walkers. So now the door frames are all, worn out from walkers, strollers, or wheelchairs. There's one unit that we're looking at, probably the same one we're talking about here, where the whole wall had to be redone with plywood to just be able to help with the damages to the sheetrock. Now we need to convert it back to a habitable, non-handicap type of unit, which is going to cost us a couple bucks. But nonetheless, those accommodations are there. Once we are made fully aware and documented those accommodations, by all means, we make those changes. But yeah, we're looking at the whole program as a whole to make sure the puzzle fits.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Thompson.
How are you?
Can you tell me a little bit about this? Making reference to
The Bowman?
the Bowman?
Okay, so we're good on the house, on the voucher?
Oh,
Okay.
Fine.
We'll move forward in all three. So yes,
Unless they want to talk about it.
you're absolutely fine. Mr. Chairman.
Discussion on Bowman Senior Residence complaints and remedies.
Thank
Now we can go into it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Montiel, again, we received, and I say we, the chairman there in his hat as the mayor, received a complaint on a Sunday afternoon about refuse being just stockpiled in this storage room that's made or designed to just be a temporary storage until facilities or maintenance from the Bowman Senior Residence comes in the next day or what have you, transfers it to the actual dumpster across the street behind Circle K. It was an ongoing issue. There was some chatter out there. Mayor went outside on a Sunday. Monday morning, I showed up hoping that things were going to get fixed. Monday morning at about 9 a.m., I pay a visit to the site. I look at the general areas, nothing directly with the actual units, and those are the pictures that I took myself of what happened. Nothing different than what the mayor had shown me prior to that. So in essence, within 24 hours, 48 hours, nothing had happened. That same day, I spoke to the manager who happened to be on site, and a couple of things were discovered. One, they're on a on a part-time status. She's there a couple of days, maintenance facilities individuals there a couple of days. So it's hard for them to be able to perform all the functions. Imagine two people managing 48 units. It is difficult. Trust me on this one. It is really difficult. So we said, hey, well, maybe if we author a letter and raise some concerns and say, hey, what can we as a city do to help alleviate this? So I had a conversation with the manager there, and things came out. In fact, just yesterday, she was able to come in with our sanitation department and change her trash pickup. Now she has a total of 3 days versus 2 days. Will this idea work? I hope so. If not, I'm keeping an eye on it. As of this last Monday, I had to entertain a call from one of our tenants who received subsidy for Bowman project-based voucher. It just came back, Commissioner. So one of the 20 individuals we helped subsidize said, I want out. This is not what I signed up for. Ya no quiero nada. And some other choice words.
The ongoing.
Because of the ongoing refuse. And he just was livid. I want out. A couple of things I could have done. We could have started an abatement process, which is basically a way of saying, hey, Bowman or Gorman, in this case, the managing entity over the Bowman Center, hey, you need to get things working or else we're going to not want to pay your subsidy. Now, I'm not too sure if under the project-based voucher system that's possible. I would say perhaps, but it is a good scare. Apparently, it worked. We received a nice letter from Gorman a couple of days ago, yesterday, saying, hey, we've picked it up, we've cleaned it up, we did our part, thank you for bringing this to our attention, and we're happy with that. We are very content with that. However, our watchful eye will still keep looking at what's happening at the Bowman to make sure that they're still picking up the refuse as they're supposed to. Complaints about mice, rats, what have you, have been brought up to us, and not just by our 20 tenants or residents, by the majority of the 68. So it is disconcerting right now to just say that, especially with that beautiful building with assets all over the place, to include ongoing, at least for 20 years from our end. So we really want to hold them accountable to what they said they were going to do. In fact, I had a good 3, 4, probably more, phone calls with the daughter to another resident, and I guess her and I on a first name basis, because every day not every day, but we share information. I got this, we got that, and I'm pleased to share this letter with her as to it got fixed. But of course, we're still going to continue looking at things in the future.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just one more question. I have a couple of aunts that live there and friends,
Yes.
and who doesn't, right? And you know who they are. And it was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad, and it was sad to see this, and of knowing this, it was kind of disappointing, to say the least. So I'm glad you took care of it, and are taking care of it, because it's going to be an ongoing kind of, making sure you supervise and that these things don't come to this point.
Right.
Because this is not only, it's so unsafe.
We had even offered, at least on my
Healthy.
part, right? At least on my part, I had even offered, and speaking to Mr. Kissinger, we'd even offered a couple free pickups until the new contract came into
Yeah.
play. So we opened our doors for everything. I think now they have 3 pickups and a bigger size dumpster. That should, in essence, alleviate the issue, but the problem is not how big the dumpster, how many times you go pick up the refuse, it's how many times you, take it from that storage into the dumpster. That's the issue.
Yeah. Well, I always see the gentleman.
He's got a little buggy.
Yeah, I always see him, and I always remind myself to stop. Because he's always crossing that street. Unfortunately, it's a little ways off.
Right.
From the building, but thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
do you still have the housing inspector
Yes, we do.
going and looking at that so he can keep you abreast of all that?
Yes. In fact, he took a tour with me that one Monday that I showed up, and we made sure we documented everything for future reference.
I just have a comment, looking at these pictures, and it's been frustrating for me, even before I was councilman. And Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, is there any way that we can come up with an ordinance, people taking these shopping carts from the stores and they're walking around town with them, like they belong to them? If you take stick a gun from the store, they can arrest you for shoplifting, but then they take the shopping carts and they don't do anything to them, and then they drop them off where they want. So is there...
I think we could, some of these companies do have a locking system on the wheels. Sometimes they don't work. But you try to take one from Walmart and you'll stumble down the hill because it's going to stop automatically.
Uh-huh.
But some of them don't have them, and I noticed like some of the shopping carts all over town. Yeah, we could do something like that, Mr. Massey.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Because I saw it on the picture there, and I see them all over town all the time. And one time I saw them going up to the courthouse. There's like 20 of them there.
Yeah, right at Preston. At Preston, they have them all in the parking lot. But you know what? I think those is the owner of the property has them in there because the people take them into the trailer park, and I think they get tired of seeing them there, and then they take them across to the empty lot and put them over there. That's why they're all on that lot, I believe.
And I understand that some of the stores have their own personnel go out and
Pick 'em up.
fetch them from the streets, but not all the time. And and they look bad on the sidewalks,
Yeah.
And even the homeless people, they have their own carts.
Some of them trick them out really nice too. No, but we'll do something like that. Is that all with this one? Yeah. Okay. 3, update and discussion on the moratorium and future evictions. Okay, talk to me about that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, as of October 3rd of last year, the moratorium from the federal government has expired. Being who I am, disobeyed the instruction of starting evictions. I figured it was a lot better to wait till after the holidays. The last thing I think we need as a whole is Housing Authority kicks people out during Christmas on the front page of the paper. So we decided to wait and give it all the way up to January. During those 3 months, and even prior to those 3 months, actually, for a good 5-6 months prior to today, we brought in families that were behind on rent. And I'm talking about rent pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and now, I guess, during the endemic, because we're still not past it, but as up to now. So we're talking at least 18 to 24 months of back rent. Anything in the amount as high as $7,000 all the way down to about $2,000 or $3,000. These families were brought in. Staff did an incredible job referring them to certain areas such as the IRUMA program, which is through Mary Dahl at the county, DES ERAP, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and CCAP, I'm sorry, and what have you. As of yesterday mid-morning, I believe we had 4 families who were able to get help through ERAP, and there was at least 2 or 3 who got help from IRUMA, which is great news. The number of 15 potential evictions went down to 7, right? So after we got the grease on the wheels and it got going, people started realizing that we weren't kidding, and it's the last choice that we have. Unfortunately, it is a choice, and we'll take it at the end. We have 7 petitions ready to be filed as soon as tomorrow for 7 families. If I get anything from ERAP or IRUMA saying, hey, we have an application, I will quickly remove them from that list and make sure that they remain housed up until I get some resolution from either of these entities helping with rent. So as of right now, we have 7 families facing some sort of eviction. And I want to say from the 15 we started, I think we did a good, we knocked it down by 50% by helping. Those who waited to the bitter end, I can't force the hand. You can lead a horse to water, you can't force him to drink. Took it right off of you. So yeah, that's where we stand on those. As soon as we move forward with this, I believe Mr. Massey has allowed me to talk to our deputy city attorney, and we will move forward with that for legal representation. So I'm still waiting to the very last minute.
Mr. Chair, when you get extra assistance like from CHAC and what's the other one?
Iruma and ERAP.
Doesn't HUD penalize the tenant because he's already receiving subsidy for that rent? So it's subsidy after subsidy?
After subsidy. I battled that issue, Chairman Bojorquez, with Mary Dahl, Department of Housing, and some other people in the state level to see if what we did or what we wanted to do is something that we could accomplish. Your thoughts, your concerns were the first and foremost on the forefront, saying, how can you help someone who's already receiving the help? Absolutely. The logic behind that did not hold true when we were dealing with people under the Section 8 voucher. They receive a subsidy, help from us, but at the same time, they could apply for help from another entity, 100%. So, again, me who I am, I decided to tackle that issue, and we were able to get it resolved through the state to where if it's good enough for Housing Choice Vouchers, Section 8, it should be good enough for low income. So we were able to do that as long as the people met the criteria. So what's the most important criteria? The pandemic affected me in some way, shape, or form. That is like the utmost criteria, regardless of if they're receiving help or not. So in essence, they were able to obtain it. I try to get as much as I can to help those in need, and it was up to them being these entities, to weed them out. Some were weeded out, and it's frustrating because they're on this list, or the list of 7 that I have, and others were able to survive it. So,
And in this list of 7, what is the average rent amount that they're paying?
there's one that does pay, the highest is $574, the least is $67, $61, I apologize.
The rest of them?
And the rest of them are somewhere in between, about an average of $300 to $250. And some of these, particularly the $67 figure, $61 figure, that rent had been reduced down to $21 prior to this. And as of 2 months ago, because there was a change in income, it went up to just an extra $40. And I still can't get that to come through.
Okay.
Mr. Thompson, these 7 families, I imagine they're families.
Yes, sir.
They're behind how many months, or average?
At least 20.
And is this due that they lost their job due to the pandemic, or?
So some of these 7 individuals or families, we did our review, and we noticed that they were the usual, for the frequent flyers, as we like to say, who were always behind on rent. We've entered into what we call a formal agreement, which is a fancy word for a repayment program. That failed as well. Pandemic hit, moratoriums hit, HUD said, hey, we need to put the brakes on evictions. And I agree, 100%. I think all of us agree on that. I mean, I wish the moratorium was in place today, but unfortunately the rules have changed. So yeah, these people just did not want to pay the rent, assuming that there was going to be the great borrón de renta, which is not the case. In this case, we cannot white it out. We cannot turn the blind eye. It is a debt. What a lot of these families don't realize is that if the eviction process goes through, they carry that burden with them, and they can no longer ask for this type of assistance. So in essence, they're hurting themselves. And we've tried formal agreements, we've tried paybacks, we've tried just about everything in the last 6 months to get something, to get them moving forward, to get them independent again, and it just didn't happen. In fact, I'm shocked that we had three of them kick in as early as yesterday, who were able at the 11th hour to get the help they need, when we've been talking about this for months.
Do you know for a fact that these 7 families, have they applied for any
I don't, because that is something between them and the entity who is going to help them. The only way I get notified is when I get an email or staff gets an email saying, hey, so-and-so applied, they're in review. That to me means they've done their part. I can back off of the eviction. Trust me when I say this, Chairman and members of the commission, I don't feel good doing this. I really don't.
Well, me either.
I don't.
You know, I have
It's
the
the nasty
kids.
evil.
Yeah, and I can just picture, these families. I know they have to pay their rent, but is there anything else we can do for them, Mr. Thompson?
I think I've exhausted, at least on our end, our efforts. I just can't. I wish I had that magic checkbook. I honestly do. And, out of 15, 8 decided to move forward and do something. And you know what? They proved to me that they could get it back on track, and they were able. And some of these people have future rental payments in place to make sure that they stay housed. I mean, it's that efficient when you ask for the help. I just can't force them to ask for the help.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Thompson, and I'm assuming you gave them notice, and what's the timeline? Is it, are they going to be, moving very soon? Is it, what's the timeline that you gave them?
So-
that they can have enough time to look for somewhere else?
Somewhere else. So January 7th was the actual time frame to liquidate any debt or enroll in something to help them out. Unfortunately, these 7 families had already enrolled in a formal agreement, and they failed on it. So how can I offer the same assistance again if the first time around didn't work? It's difficult to say that, but that is the truth. Depends on the process of the court system. I am wanting to go and petition the court as early as next week. It'd be up to the magistrate or justice of the peace to say 30 days, 60 days, what have you. And at that point, I'll have to, worry about it then. And quite frankly, if the magistrate or the JP judge says 60 days or extends the time frame, I'm hoping that's the case. I really am.
Were they issued a 30-day notice before this?
We have not issued those yet,
Will you?
unfortunately. Yeah, sad. It's disappointing.
Okay, let's go. Number 5, housing resolutions. Number 1, consideration possible action of housing resolution 2022-01-01. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving the HUD fair market rents and payment standards for calendar year 2022 for Santa Cruz County, Arizona, for all bedroom sizes. Discussion.
These fair market rents and standards are done by HUD, so the housing has nothing
To do.
It had no option but to approve this. So
Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Number 2, consideration possible action of housing resolution 2022-01-02, the resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Nogales approving a statement of significant amendment. Motion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
La mato ahorita. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, basically, we did a sweep of funds that were left over from 2019. It's in our best interest to go ahead and just reallocate those to an area that are in need. In this case, we need the blind appliances. I'm sure you understand the need for them. So we were able to find $34,000 from one line item. We're going to move it into the capital purchasing item and hopefully be able to move forward in those expenditures.
what are the stoves and
Stoves, refrigerators, and range hoods.
Yeah, and these are for the one bedroom or the,
This is for everybody.
Everybody?
This is for everybody.
all right, thank you. That's all.
Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6, future agenda items. Go ahead.
Can we have a list of the vacancies in the public housing sector?
Sure.
And how long it's taken to rent them? And how many are make ready already, ready to rent?
Definitely. I actually have that answer, but I don't know if I'd be out of line to answer it. It'd be up to the
I
chairman.
didn't see it on the agenda, that's why.
Right. So I can certainly bring that back at the next agenda, but I do have that current
You
number.
want it on the agenda or a memo?
Well, if we're having a meeting, I'll wait for the meeting. If not, memos. Well, if I get a memo, I don't know if the rest of the commissioners want to discuss it or want to ask questions about it, so.
Do it next meeting.
Okay. And have we had an audit at the housing authority?
It's ongoing.
It's ongoing? Okay. Remember that one finding?
The not-for-profit,
The HUD?
Mhm.
What was it?
the HUD form?
Yeah, the HUD form 600002?
Yes.
Yeah. Did we, because it's due this month, right?
Yes, it's ongoing right now, yes.
All right. Thank you. That's all.
Yes, go ahead.
No. I was ready.
Mr. Thompson, just, are we up to date on everything with HUD and basically all our requirements and, in good terms with Martha?
I had a conversation with Martha through email earlier this week. I sent her a reply on some specific questions, basically what Commissioner Bojorquez is talking about, the vacancies, with a plan to bring those up to par. The concern we have, or at least I have identified here locally, is we have no appliances. The market, the supply chain for appliances is non-existent. In all honesty, they're all docked somewhere in Long Beach. So, as an example, I was to receive a combination of stoves and refrigerators on Monday, total of 11 appliances. I got 5 stoves about 3 hours ago. So that put a huge wrench in my turnaround. So yeah, as is right now, yes, we are doing good, at least to my own opinion. I'm sure Martha, great individual. I'm sure you dealt with her personally a lot of times. She is a striver for excellence, and I'm sure she'll find a deficiency somewhere, and we'll have to work on that. And I'm open to all that. But as it is right now, we are good. We are good. We're just sweeping the money to make sure we move forward.
Including our ratings and all that, that we have with the HUD,
I'm not too sure what you mean about ratings there.
we got to be up
We standard or?
standards and.
So I don't know if the commission recalls, a couple months ago, I brought that up on our ratings. We're still at standard. All those have been waived, and all those timeframes have expired as of December 31st of last year. So we are going to be undergoing CMAP. In fact, I got a REAC inspection next week. And there's, what's the other one, Commissioner, help me out, not the Section 8 one. We got CMAP coming up. CMAP, that's the biggest one coming up. And we've been standard with CMAP for a while.
You also have, that's all we need to have a meeting next month so we can approve the annual plan.
Annual plans coming up, budgets coming up, all that we will discuss next week. In fact, our budget that's already been submitted, we got the return paperwork 20 minutes ago. So our Lindsay partners or MIR partners who work on our software and our budget stuff, they're all on it. Yes.
And I know the annual plan is also important for the audit.
Exactly.
City audit, I mean, they're codependent, if that's the right word.
Absolutely. And we had waivers in place throughout the whole pandemic. We could certainly apply those waivers, but the way I look at it, if we sign waiver after waiver after waiver, what are we doing except kicking the can? Not about kicking the can right now.
And, since we haven't had
Right.
housing meeting, I just want to make sure that we're up to par and not, run into any jeopardy remember, what was it, 2 years ago, we were risking our support and all that, and that's my concern.
So far, we're good. We have a lot of grant money allocated into projects. I don't know if the commission recalls the 5-year plan. Our annual plan will be submitted again, which is basically a cut paste of what's happening with all the expenditures, all the line items, everything we want to do. What's cool about what we're doing today, and I thank the commission about, is on the significant amendment. You guys just opened up $54,000 that I thought we were going to lose. So as of tomorrow, we're rocking and rolling, and I'm ordering just about anything again.
That's from CFP 2019.
19,
So you have one more year.
one more year to go. That should liquidate 19, which I'm grateful for.
Okay, motion to adjourn?